Yet the president's comments about our colleagues this weekend show that he does not share those American values. These comments from the White House are disgraceful and disgusting, and the comments are racist. How shameful to hear him continue to defend those offensive words, words that we have all heard him repeat, not only about our members, but about countless others.
Who needs a summer vacation when you have Tlaib, Pelosi, and the crew? Good morning, Kevin Miller. Blessed to be with you, KIDO Talk Radio. Your conservative oasis from the liberal insanity that seeks to encircle and enslave all of us. Wow. That's a great way to start the 6 a.m. hour. I'm doing it. We're going to do the show with my eyes closed today. It's going to be that simple. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Once again, Donald Trump showing whether you like him, whether you don't like him, learn to love him. He's the best thing going today. And our progressive friends, our politically correct friends are going, Kevin Miller, how can you say that? Donald Trump is bad. Donald Trump is this. Really? Well, he's got everybody reacting to him and echoing a lot of thoughts that a lot of Americans believe about Omar Cortez, Presley, Tlaib, and Pelosi and everyone else. You have the Democrats reluctantly fighting amongst themselves because Nancy Pelosi was goaded into going too far yesterday in the House. We'll talk all about that. And, of course, we want to hear from you. We'll start with Ron in Meridian with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning once again, sir. Thank you so much for your radio station. It's awesome so far. But a couple questions for you. What happened to the word deplorables? Isn't that more racist than what Donald Trump said, if you want to put it in that context? That's one question I have for you. And whatever happened to all the things? I mean, I don't want to dredge up and dig up old bones and about you know who I'm talking about. This is HC. Whatever happened to all the things that she was supposedly charged or not charged with, and she's still walking around? Why isn't she in jail for all the things that happened, all the people that supposedly, under her administration, whatever she was at that point in time, all the people that, lost their lives? I mean, where's the accountability at? That's what I'm saying. And one thing about Donald Trump's, what he had said about the 4 congresswomen, I don't see racist at all in that. I say that almost every day to my friends and my family, that, you know what, America's an awesome country. We have the freedom and the rights to do the things that we need to do to be successful. And for these people to say the things about America, I don't understand why they're still where they are. And I voice Donald Trump's, opinion. If you don't like this country, then find another one that'll be glad to shake your hand and do what they ask you to do.
Well, I don't see a lot of countries giving. I don't see a lot of countries giving those 4 congresswomen the same type of freedoms and abilities that we do here in America.
Amen. I don't get it. I don't understand where that's coming. Like I said, I'm as I said yesterday when I talked to you, I said, I'm ignorant to all this stuff at this point in time because, I just, out of sight, out of mind kind of attitude I've had for so long, and now I'm sorry. I'm just tired of it. I see that Donald Trump's doing a great job. I've been a Democrat voter for the longest time because of my parents. But, I Democrat or Republican, like I said, being a human being and treating your fellow brother or sister, with compassion and equality and so on, I think that's the topic. Again, it's tough for me to try to understand coming into this thing.
Well, Ron, that's why we're here on KIDO Talk Radio. We talk about the topics no one else will. And look, he had enough guts to say, I'm tired of you bad-mouthing America. I'm tired of you saying what's wrong with this country. And if it's so bad, then get out. It's like being in a bad relationship. You don't
Yeah,
like it, get
you
out.
gonna sit there and take it?
Right.
I don't think anybody should sit there and take anything that's, demeaning or, whether it's verbal or physical. Just get out. I mean, if you have to move to a cave, move to a cave. But anyway,
Right.
You are awesome, dude, and I pray for you every day. And again, I appreciate, finding this station, and you're awesome. Just keep up the good work, man. God bless you.
God bless you, Ron. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And coming up, we'll hear from President Trump. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. The president not backing down from his comments. Nancy Pelosi and others going after him, calling him a racist. The House of Representatives resembled the Royal Rumble yesterday. And we'll hear from the president coming up. Also, we'll take your calls on this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And we'll hear from one reporter that actually compares the congresswomen to the Boston Tea Party. And you're allowed to dissent. Well, when all of a sudden do you say to the liberals, well, what you're doing is wrong? Well, then you're an extremist. And they've pulled it on Sean. They've pulled it on Kevin Miller. They're pulling it on President Trump. So what did the president say that was racist? Just echoing Ron's question. Well, you can't say that. Well, what did he say? Did he mention anybody by name? Did he mention anybody by name specifically? No, not at all. And yet here we have the media going crazy, and the president, I think the president enjoys this. I think the president just sits back and says to himself, I have to say that, if they want to talk about me the whole time, so be it. And people are going, he should apologize. For what? Maybe Nancy Pelosi should apologize for calling the president a racist yesterday. By the way, let's hear what happened on the House floor when you had Representative Doug Collins said, look, the speaker's comments have to be taken down. Let's take a listen as it happened on KIDO Talk Radio.
I was just going to give the General Speaker of the House if she would like to rephrase that comment.
I have cleared my remarks with a parliamentarian before I read them.
And take it. And I ask the words be taken down. I make a point of order. The gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and ready to be taken down.
The chair will remind all members, please do not make comments toward personality-based comments. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I made a point of order that the gentlewoman's unparliamentary and request they be taken down.
Is the gentleman making a demand that the words be taken down?
I request that the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and request that they be taken down.
All members will suspend. The clerk will now report the words.
And there we have it. And Steny Hoyer backed him up, but eventually, because the libs have the House, is this what America voted for? Is this what America voted for when we're talking about a Democratic House?
Yet the president's comments about our colleagues this weekend showed that he does not share those American values. These comments from the White House are disgraceful and disgusting, and these comments are racist. How shameful to hear him continue to defend those offensive words that we have all heard him repeat, not only about our members, but about countless others.
Let's take a look at some of these young ladies. We've got Omar that got a pass on saying anti-Semitic comments, right? We had Representative Omar get comments, say things anti-Semitic. We've had others, as David Horowitz say, doing fundraisers for Hamas and Hezbollah, known terrorist organizations. You can go back to the David Horowitz interview that we've done recently here on KIDO Talk Radio and hear Mr. Horowitz break it down. And then you have Congresswoman from the cesspool that is the state of Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley, right? So she's at this Netroots conference. And Netroots is a place where all the liberal bloggers and floggers go. And she's upset because some people didn't back her when she said some unfortunate things. In fact, I could quote what she said, but I believe that we have the comments here that were anxiously efforting the Commodore 64. So let's hear what they have to say, and hopefully they're profanity-free.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up. Because we need you to represent that voice.
Now, you talk about waking you up first thing in the morning. That's certainly not waking up on the right side. You can't tell me that's not a racist statement. Brown voice, black voice, quote, queer voice. Whatever happened to just regular voice, right? Now, she says that. The networks don't condemn her. The networks say nothing about this. And this is the reason why, because the Congressional Black Caucus, not to get too lost in the weeds here on KIDO Talk Radio, the Congressional Black Caucus backed Nancy Pelosi when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tried to float the balloon that Nancy is an old racist white woman. I mean, this is entertaining if this were entertainment, but this is politics. And for years, the Republicans have taken it. For years, the Republicans have taken it. And under Donald Trump, they're not taking it. Under Donald Trump, they're saying, nope, we're going to fight back. And, of course, the media is condemning the president.
Are you willing to not use the phrase, go back to your country, to citizens and women of color who are either citizens or have been born in this country? Would you be willing to not use that specific?
I think it's terrible when people speak so badly about our country, when people speak so horribly. I have a list of things here. I'm not going to bore you with it because you would be bored. You wouldn't write it anyway. But I have a list of things here said by the congresswomen that is so bad, so horrible, that I almost don't want to read it. It's so bad. I think what you do is you have the same list that I do. You should repeat some of that. When the Democrats didn't want to mention the name of the congresswoman, not so long ago, and what they did and the way they're treating Israel is a disgrace. But not only Israel, it's what they say about our country. It's my opinion they hate our country. And that's not good. It's not acceptable. Thank you very much, everybody.
There you have the President of the United States. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, Nancy Pelosi uses religion to go after the president. And, of course, you're welcome to join the conversation with me as we wake up on the right side. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
It was interesting to me, and I spoke out about this, that on Sunday in Catholic masses, and I don't know beyond that, the gospel of the day was the gospel of the Good Samaritan. A person asked Jesus, "What do I have to do to enter the kingdom of heaven?" And Christ replied, "Love thy neighbor as thyself. Show mercy."
Well, I don't know if that's going to fly if you're not of the Christian faith. You'd have to talk to your members in your caucus, Nancy Pelosi. But here we have it. Nancy Pelosi going to no depths of level, going low as you can low, using the gospel of the Lord to try and criticize President Trump. Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning. Oh, a new USA Today poll saying the president is bad, he's racist. And look, here's the deal. There is a double standard in America today. It's the reason why going from the CBS Employee of the Year, CBS Radio doesn't even exist anymore, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on KDKA Radio, the first radio station in America. Google Kevin Miller Obama if you want to know why. Almost 10 years ago, I landed here. Blackballed by the industry, left for professional death. Because you have people, Republicans, Democrats, that go, well, you just have to take it. You just have to sit back and say to yourselves, okay, everybody, you're right. It's a double standard. Omar can talk about how she's anti-Semitic or anti-Semitic remarks, which the president mentioned. The House full of sissies, full of, oh, we can't say that word on the air. Oh, Johnny B., we can't say that word on the air. They didn't even have enough guts to name her by name. Went after Israel. According to David Horowitz, others, Tlaib, Omar, raising money for Hezbollah and Hamas, known terrorist organizations. Presley saying, I'm tired of, quote, black faces not having black voices. And they called the president racist. Isn't that what it's about today? And by the way, Nancy Pelosi calling the president racist. Okay, if you say, I'm tired of queer faces not having queer voices, again, quote unquote, brown voices or brown faces not having brown voices, isn't that race? I think the president's onto something here. Now, the politically correct folks, corporate America, everyone else will go, oh, it's bad. And I remember it. I remember saying, I couldn't play the theme from the Jeffersons. Oh, you're a racist, Kevin Miller. The Jeffersons, one of my favorite shows of all time. Nope, you can't say that, and you can't mention President Obama. Okay. We know what you're saying. Wink, wink, nod, nod, you little racist white guy. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm trying to be entertaining. I love George and Wheezy. I've got to meet Sherman Hemsley, God rest his soul, before he died. A great person who loved all Americans. Now, has it digressed into a food fight? Yeah. But come on, please give me a break. On one hand, Nancy Pelosi is saying she's the Good Samaritan or quoting the Good Samaritan, while the other hand, not turning the other cheek, but putting on brass knuckles and trying to punch Donald Trump figuratively in the face by calling him a racist. Who's the bigger person here? Certainly not the media, which we'll get to in a minute, and your phone calls at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Before we get to David and Nampa, traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to David and Nampa. Thank you for your patience. Good morning, David.
Yes, it's funny. It was said about Bill Clinton when he was president. Bill Clinton is the only president who will use a sex scandal to take people's attention off of a sex scandal. Ilhan Omar will say a Jew-hater thing to take people's attention away from a Jew-hater thing that she previously said. Remember that? Was she denounced?
Right.
No, they basically denounced bad stuff, but especially Islamophobia, and she walked out and proceeded to do a victory lap. Yeah, we denounced Islamophobia and other bad stuff. Rashida Tlaib, who, when she won, I heard I haven't seen this, I'm looking for a video of it, wrapped herself in the Palestinian flag and ululated. She also said she never felt more Palestinian than when she went to Congress. Shouldn't you feel American? Now, remember, I'm the racist and the words that end in ist or phobe, but you know what the first thing she did when she got into her office? She had a map of the world. She took a Post-it and she drew an arrow going up and to the right. And underneath the arrow, she wrote Palestine, and she slapped it on Egypt. So she basically wiped out Israel with a Post-it. Again, she has a huge Jewish voters in occasional Cortex's district. I hope they mobilize. She got rid of Amazon. I mean, this woman is such a fool and a racist. And again, they say, this is not new, by the way. Catherine de Medici did it. Saddam Hussein did it. You have a right to criticize me. And then when you take them up on it, they take you out, literally. Geneva Convention, if you saw the movie Stalag 17. Geneva Convention says you have a right to complain, but then the fat sergeant writes the name down of anybody who does complain. So, things like that. I mean, how do you have a civilized conversation with respect when anything will label you as an ist or a phobe? Like, the soccer team, I won't call it the American soccer team. Remember that speech where Purplehead gave, what's her name, Rapinoe? I love that name. It sounds like a wine.
Yeah, right.
Because that's all she does is wine, wine, wine. Remember, we have black girls, white girls, and all girls in between. straight girls, gay girls, And she mentioned some other differences, and that's what they were. There was a Christian lady who got tossed off the team. She was the best at her position. I'm not really sure what it is because soccer's a sport. But this group, which had been beaten by tween-age boys from Texas, a Texas boys' school beat them. Yeah. They tossed a Christian lady off the team.
Right, because she said she wasn't down with the Pride jerseys. David and Napa, appreciate you. Sean and Boise, we'll hear from you next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Blessed to be with you. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. Sean and Boise, hang on. We're going to go to you in 2 seconds first. Simon Owen joins us, Fox News Radio. Boy, Simon, this is getting going to be a daily occurrence here on KIDO Talk Radio, and we like it. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
I think anything to take a break from President Trump and the big showdown. Now, again, we'll talk about something else here in a minute, but I does any of the controversy that goes on over here, do you guys hear about that and cover that in your world, sir, in London and throughout Europe?
Well, I mean, look, his election was a huge moment and a huge story, and it came right after Britain had voted for Brexit to leave the European Union, which was seen as a kind of similar shock political triumph. So, yes, both of those stories have been covered extensively here. These days, we don't get the minutiae of the Trump administration's day-to-day in the way that you do, but when something flares up like this situation with go back to where you came from and this sort of thing, then yes, that's certainly been a huge story here in recent days. In fact, the Prime Minister and the two candidates to replace her in the coming weeks have both condemned the president's remarks.
Simon Owen joining us on KIDO Talk Radio from Fox News Radio, live from London. So let's talk a little bit about America and Russia meeting in Switzerland to talk about the nukes.
Yes, and the reason for this is that the clock is ticking quite loudly now on the last remaining major nuclear weapons treaty between the U.S. and Russia. This is a deal called New START, signed by President Obama in 2010. It expires in less than 2 years, and it's a deal that puts a cap, at its most basic level, puts a cap on the number of nuclear weapons the United States and Russia are each allowed to possess. But with this deal starting to run out, there is no word at this stage on what might come next. So the US and Russia have sent officials off to Geneva, Switzerland. We think they are meeting today to explore the possibility of some kind of future treaty. President Putin has said he's open to extending New START, and there is a provision in there to extend it through 2026. But President Trump has said that any next generation arms control deal would also have to include China. And the argument from the US side is that maybe 30 years ago you didn't need China involved. You could make a case that it made sense to have the Russians and the Americans, and that would be it. But in 2019, China is a major military power with nuclear weapons, and it currently isn't signed up to any treaty limiting nuclear weapons.
Simon Owen joining us, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So when we take a look at just Vladimir Putin, how is he perceived in Europe?
Well, I mean, look, Europe's a big place. It depends where you are. If you talk about the southeastern corners of Europe and the places like Ukraine, where there is still effectively a war, a frozen conflict with pro-Russian separatists, there are parts of Ukraine where people like him and think that these pro-Russian separatists have a point, and there are many people who feel that he's tearing the country apart and is an invader who's getting away with it. Look, Europe is divided politically at the moment. In Western Europe, the big powers like France and Britain and Germany, you would find those governments still pushing to condemn Putin's behavior primarily in Ukraine, but also for other flare-ups, whether it's election meddling or, the poisoning of a spy here in the UK last year. There have been some really major disputes. At the same time, there are other countries, Italy is the one that springs to mind, which has got a newly populist government in the last year or so, and it is now pushing to mend a few ties with Russia. It says that the time has come where it's time to be more friendly with Putin. So there's not quite a unified voice from European leaders as to how they believe Putin should be handled. But he's certainly a prominent figure. And I think for a lot of European countries, particularly in the East, he's seen as more of a present threat than he would be in the United States, because, particularly countries like the Balkan states, the Baltic states like Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania, they continue to have real concerns that the invasion of Ukraine might not be the last foreign adventure of Putin's time in office.
Simon Owen, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Simon. Let's go to Sean. Thanks for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning and happy Wednesday.
And to you.
I was just, I've been listening to this whole debate back and forth between Nancy Pelosi and AOC and, all these people and Trump. And I realized that these people, this is why I find it so funny, these people cannot figure out Trump's long game. You've heard of the long con or the long game, and this is really where he's at. He's so much smarter than them that he knows he can rile them up and get them to show their true colors just by sending a simple tweet. I mean, how ingenious is that? And then you have, the poo spreader, Pelosi. She will take on anything and just spread it. As soon as the Democrats give her something, she'll just roll with it. She chews her cud, and then she sits there and just says whatever they want her to say. And, she was just a few days ago on AOC's neck. I mean, they were at it. And I've heard people say, well, that was a really dumb time for Trump to send this tweet. Actually, I thought it was genius. It was genius in the fact that it shows the Democrats' true colors. It brings them all together, puts them in one box, and lets them look as bad as they actually are. And I actually get excited every time he sends out a tweet. I told my wife the other night, I said, all he has to do to get them upset is send a simple tweet. And they freak out. It's so much fun to watch.
Well,
I really enjoy your show.
And Sean, let me thank you, but let me jump in and I echo your comments. It's brilliant because you had Pelosi not wanting to get into a fight with Trump, Pelosi being hailed as brilliant, and now she's in with them. So all these swing districts with the Democrats, it's, the faces Omar, Tlaib, Cortez, not moderate Democrats. That's the face of the Democratic Party. I'm sure you heard that recent poll that the most popular Democrat or the most known Democrat is Cortez.
Exactly. And that is hilarious. I mean, here's a bartender who, wasn't outstanding academically. She wasn't outstanding in her community, and yet she gets elected. I can't remember how many votes it was. It was like 60,000 or 6,000 votes or something like that. It was a small number. And she gets elevated to this pedestal. And it's funny. It's really funny because they're hitching their wagon to this newcomer who's completely clueless. I just get a kick out of it, Kevin.
I agree with you, Sean. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, our great friend Sean joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning. By the way, here is John King on CNN. CNN tanking, CNN not doing well, and here's why, where he compares the Spice Girls, the anti-Spice Girls, to the Boston Tea Party.
Had and you support President Trump, all of this would be fine. But in this country, I think a lot of people believe that the right of Americans is to criticize the country without being criticized by the government.
That's why they threw the tea in Boston Harbor. It's kind of the very beginning. The very beginning of the American experiment is that you have the right to complain. It is the very beginning of the experiment that you have a right to complain against authority and against power. Our president seems to forget the history. Maybe that was something to do with the airports.
But Donald Trump.
And there we have it, thanks to our friends at newsbusters.org. Hank in Boise with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning. Pelosi used the Good Samaritan story, which is actually out of the Gospel of Luke, and it's nothing to do with what she says it was. It's basically a man who is left for dead, and basically a Levite passes him, and then a Pharisee passes him and doesn't give it in. The Samaritan comes up, gives him water, and then pays money out of his own pocket to take him to a lodge so that he can rest, and pays the innkeeper to take care of him while he goes. And she knows nothing about the Bible. I mean, she plasters or uses these quotes, when she doesn't know exactly what she's talking about. And she's like a cafeteria Catholic. They pick and choose the little things, but they're not observant, nor do they practice the precept. If if she was a sincere Catholic, she would never tolerate abortion. I mean, if she was a devout believer, and Catholic is like our Mayor Beater. I mean, he's another cafeteria smorgasbord Catholic. I mean, neither one of them. I mean, it's phony baloney plastic banana stuff is what this stuff is that they spout. So I mean,
well, she has a lot of gall to even quote the gospel and everything else, considering what she does with the abortion industry and everything else. So, Nancy, maybe you should be excommunicated from your beloved church. I mean, do we really want to start throwing the Bible in at these things?
That's what I mean. She throws the Bible down, and she's the last person in the world to be throwing the Bible down in anything. I don't think that she's ever cracked that book for years. I mean, to make a mistake like that she did tells me right away that she's not a Bible reader. So I mean, I'll leave it at that. But I also find that the Conservative Party in Britain. I'll make this comment because I was listening to your Mr. Simon earlier, and the two conservative candidates denouncing Trump. This whole thing about Black Britain or letting in colored people on a large scale, unfortunately, was one of the unfortunate legacies of Winston Churchill's second prime ministership of 1951 and 1955. Because that's when they let in Britain, in a sense, has developed its own problem, and the politics that followed from it. It's an unfortunate legacy, and unfortunately, that's something about that aspect of Winston Churchill's career has not been, I think, fully discussed. But I think it's unfortunate for Britain just as to have this mass migration where their culture is being diluted, just as much as it's unfortunate for us to have this mass migration having our culture diluted and downgrade. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, Hank, you leave it at that. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. By the way, if you're just tuning in, Nancy Pelosi comparing Donald Trump to the Good Samaritan in an unflattering way.
It was interesting to me, and I spoke out about this, that on Sunday in Catholic masses, and I don't know beyond that, the gospel
well, don't ask Omar about the Catholic Mass
of the day was the gospel of the Good Samaritan. A person asked Jesus, "What do I have to do to enter the kingdom of heaven?" And Christ replied, "Love thy neighbor as thyself. Show mercy."
Exactly. Show mercy. Well, Nancy, where's your mercy? Nancy, let's talk a little bit about Representative Omar's comments about Israel.
And telling 4 members of this body to go home is racist.
Gentleman will state
do you think it's not racist?
Gentleman will state his point of order.
Do you think it's not
so
racist?
The gentleman will suspend. Gentleman will state his point of order.
Is that what you're saying right now, Mr. Collins?
Gentleman will suspend.
Mr. Collins, is it not racist to say these things? Because you can say that right now.
The gentleman from California is out of order. The gentleman from gentleman from California shall suspend. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia rise?
I make a point of order. The gentleman's words are unparliamentary, and I request they be taken down.
Boom! Let's hear what you have to say next. Kevin Miller on your home for Hannity, KIDO Talk Radio. Rolling along with your phone calls. We go to Liberty Linda. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. Kevin, they are trying to transform our Judeo-Christian country into something unrecognizable. You know, all I can see is hate in their faces, and instead of common sense that we want to hear from our Congress, we are hearing something that's inflammable. I see hate in their faces. I hear it from their voices. We don't want this in our Congress. We want common sense. And, you know, to see it coming from there, it even hurts us even more so. That's what I think. I think our president is absolutely correct in what he says. If you don't love our country, if you don't like our country, you may leave. Kevin, how did they get voted in?
Well, you'd have to look at their districts. I think that they will have some well-funded primary challengers because I don't believe the Democrats are very fond of them either.
I can't understand what we're seeing. It's not on the streets of our country. This is in our Congress. And they're attacking our president that has done absolutely the most for all people. He is colorblind. He wants to help everyone. He doesn't care who you are. He wants to help you, and he has. So the hate that they're trying to spew out, hopefully there aren't people that are catching on to that, and that inflaming is not going into them. That people can use common sense and see what's going on here and continue to love our country and what is best for our country. Thank goodness for our president right now.
Exactly. Thank you, Liberty Linda. Let's go to Steve in Mountain Home before we get to traffic. Good morning, Steve.
This is Pete in Mountain Home.
Pete, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey, I want to point out that Nancy Pelosi's comments about Trump are racist and an attack on a minority group. There are fewer males than females in America now, so we males are a minority. White males are a subset of that minority, so that's even a smaller minority. Senior citizen white males over 65 are a subset of the subset of the subset, so we're definitely a very small minority. So Nancy Pelosi is racist for attacking Donald Trump, who's a member of a very small minority, and he's a senior citizen, so she hates old people. Same logic they use.
You're right.
So, and so we're now, all of us old fart white males are victims. And we want to get special treatment from the rest of the world because now we're victims.
I'm ready. Pete, God bless and thank you.
Thank you, Kev.
Appreciate you. KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave. And we're just going to keep it here for the weather. It's going to be hot. Oh, goody. Coming up next, Fox News, then more of your calls. Kevin Miller on your home for Fox News, KIDO Talk Radio.